Yeah, I thought so too. Well, we're back. Gee, I just happened to be sitting here with A. Whitney Brown from Saturday Night Live. What do you know? Nice trip, yeah. So, I guess apparently if you're sitting here, I guess you're not live tonight. You got one of those wrestling shows on or something like that?
Some kind of a rerun. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
I guess you'll find out right after the show.
I guess, yeah. Stay tuned.
Yeah. It's great being in Seattle, though. I'm really happy to be here. This city means something special to me.
Really?
You see, fate caught up with me here last time I was here. Fate and her sleazy sister, Karma. You know, John, fate is a funny thing. It's like a fabric woven with the threads of coincidence. No, it isn't either. Forget that. It's more like a filthy rag stained with the scum of coincidence.
Right, okay.
That's a better metaphor, I think. I love metaphors. You know, metaphors just come to me like... I don't know, like something comes to something or other, but I'll tell you this, fate has been hounding me like a Mormon missionary with an Amway franchise. I'll tell you something else, you know, fate caught up with me when I was here. It was, oddly enough, raining the last time I was here. But one day the sun shone through, and I remember the day. It was the 5th of July. An easy day to remember because it's the day before the 6th of July. And I remember I was having lunch at an outdoor cafe, a quaint little place on the roof of an 8-story building, just above the high water mark. And I ordered a watermelon deluxe. Now, as you all know, in Seattle, that's a watermelon and a knife. And as I was eating it, I glanced down into the alley 8 stories below me, and there, bolted to the side of a brick wall, was a basketball hoop. Well, I was wide open. I took the melon, got my stance. The busboy rushed out of his zone and tried to guard me. I faked off to his left, sent the melon sailing over his head, and it went smashing through a window on the other side of the alley. Shattered it like a wine glass at an Ella Fitzgerald concert. Well, I sat back down feeling the bit of an idiot, and then it struck me. What if the police show up? Broken window report in Seattle, they'd probably bring a helicopter. Any simple-minded Seattle detective would have enough savvy to lower a surveying crew into the alley. They could plot the trajectory of the melon through the window up to the roof. There was the evidence, watermelon seeds scattered around my table like pork chop bones at a Baptist barbecue. Was I nervous? You better believe it. I was as nervous as a Christian Scientist with a severed artery. I must say, the police never showed up, of course, but justice was delivered instead by the filthy rag of fate, my friends. That night in the club where I was working, it sopped me up like a spilled drink at a Shriner's banquet. I was doing my show, and it was a nice club. Well, it could have been a little nicer, I suppose, but I remember there was a lady sitting right in front, and I remember her because she was listening to a Walkman. Now, that doesn't bother me. It was her cover charge, but she was singing along. Now, I've always thought Walkmans should have a warning on them, similar to cigarettes. Caution, this won't make you sound any better to the outside world. Well, then she got up and began to dance to a tune only she could hear. And that's when some good Samaritan in the back jumped to the conclusion she was having a seizure, wrestled her to the floor, and crammed a bar rag between her teeth. Basic first aid, I felt, so did most of the audience, but she got all upset about it for some reason. Started causing a scene, so naturally the bouncer beat the dickens out of her and threw her out. But watching the whole thing, I felt kind of bad, almost, in a way, sort of. Because I think people should have a good time when they come to a comedy show and not get bar rag stuffed in their mouth. That's just me. Anyway, I decided to go outside after the show and see if I could find her. I figured maybe I could tell her a few jokes and cheer her up because she had missed part of the show. Well, as fate, that filthy rag would have it, I did find her. She was lying in a doorway up the street. Unfortunately, some kids had found her first. You know how the kids are in Seattle. They'd played a few tricks on her. Tied her shoelaces together. Taped a "kick me" sign on her back. And shaved her head. She was lying in a pile of rotten fish heads and rat droppings, bald with her shoelaces tied together. Everyone kicking her as they walked by. But I noticed she was crying. So I went over to her and I said, "What's the matter?" And just like a woman, she said, "Nothing." I said to her, "Cheer up, my dear. Remember, there's a lot of bald people in the world. You don't see them lying in piles of rotten fish heads and rat droppings with people kicking them and their shoelaces tied together, now do you?" And she said, "It isn't that. I'm used to that." And I said, "Well, what is it then?" And she said, "If you must know, my little Pekingese dog died today. And here, I'm afraid, the story turns a little sad. I wish I could express the grief I felt at the thought of one less Pekingese dog in the world." So I asked her how it happened, because my neighbor had a Pekingese dog at the time, and I thought it'd be an awful shame if the same thing were to happen to her. She said it was a freak accident. He was getting a drink of water this afternoon, standing up on the toilet like he always does. And all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, a watermelon came smashing through the window. Jammed his little head in the bowl, and he drowned. Anyway.
Wow.
It was fate.
Cruel fate.
Fate wringing out a little vengeance on a seemingly innocent Pekingese dog.
Cruel fate. Cruel fate.
From which there's no escape but laughter.
Right, absolutely. And it's cruel fate that I guess we are going to have to go to a commercial now, but before we do, I believe you have a commercial of your own.
Oh, I have a book coming out April 24th called The Big Picture. Hope you like it. And if you don't, I'll give you your money back. Just send it to me.
All right. Hey, Whitney Brown, ladies and gentlemen.